In this video, we're going to take a look at everyone's favorite subject. No, not that, I meant fractions. So we're going to start out by talking about, first of all, what is a fraction? Well, a fraction in its simplest form is a proportion. So if we took a pie and we divided that pie up into 4 pieces, we could say that this portion is 1 part out of 4. Therefore, this is 1/4 of the pie. If we had 2 pieces of the pie, we would have 1/4 plus 1/4, which is 1/2. So very seldom in real life do we have only whole or complete units. Most things involve partial quantities. For instance, when I worked in construction, quite often I would have to cut a board, and I never cut the board exactly 53 inches or exactly 78 inches. It always involves some fractional amount. So sadly, to most people's chagrin, fractions are here to stay, and we just simply need to learn how to work with them. So that's what we're going to start doing with this video. Is we're going to start out by doing the easiest thing that we can do with fractions. Is we're going to start out by multiplying fractions. So we're going to start out by saying that if we have one fraction, if we have a over b times c over d, and a, b, c, and d are just simply integers, we can multiply a times c, in other words, top times top, over bottom times bottom. So we're going to have bd. Now, let's try a more concrete example. So let's try 1/2 times 1/3. Okay, so we're going to go 1 times 1, which is 1. Then we're going to multiply 2 times 3, and we'll get 6. So our answer is 1/6. And you'll notice that we don't have to reduce this fraction because it's already in its simplest form. So it's good to keep in mind that when you're working with fractions or any rational expression, that your professor is going to want you to express that in its lowest terms. So let's do another one. So if we did 2 thirds times 1/3, so we're going to go 2 times 1, and we could also write it like this. So we could say that's 2 times 1 over 3 times 3, which is going to equal 2 over 9, and once again we have no common factors between the 2 and the 9, so there's no way to reduce this fraction. Okay, well, let's try another one. So if we did 4/5 times 3/4, now we could just go top times top over bottom times bottom, but I want you to notice that we have a common factor on the top or numerator of the first fraction and the denominator of the second fraction. So these are actually the same value. Well, these values will cancel out. In other words, they will divide out. So let me show you how we would do that. So we're going to put this over a common fraction bar. So we're going to say that's 4 times 3 over 5 times 4. Okay, so I can cancel out this 4. So 4 goes into 4 one time on the top, and then 4 goes into 4 one time on the bottom. So now we can go 1 times 3 over 5 times 1, which gives us 3/5. And this does not need to be reduced either, because we reduced by canceling out the common factor to begin with. So let's try another one. So let's try 3/8 times 2/3. Okay. Now we can say that 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once, Now 1 times 2 over 8 times 1, but you'll also notice that we could divide out a 2. So 2 goes into 2 once, and it goes into 8 4 times. So we now have 1 times 1 over 4 times 1, which is 1/4. And here again, we don't have to reduce this because we've already done some canceling out. So let's try another one. How about 11 halves times 3 over 22? Well, 11 goes into 11 one time, and 11 goes into 22 two times. So we're left with 1 times 3 is 3, over 2 times 2 is 4, so our answer winds up being 3/4. Let's do another one. So let's do 8 over 9 times 3 over 16. Okay, so we can say that 8 goes into 8 once, 8 goes into 16 two times. We can say that 3 goes into 3 once, and into 9 3 times. So our answer here is going to be 1 times 1 is 1, over 3 times 2 is 6. So our answer is 1/6. Once again, we don't have to reduce because we have canceled out along the way. Well, let's try something a little bit harder. We've concentrated on multiplying 2 fractions at a time. Many times we'll be working on problems where we're going to have more than just 2 fractions. Does that mean we need to do anything differently? Well, no, not really, because the same principles apply. It doesn't matter how many fractions we're working with. So let's try something like this. Let's try 1/4 times 2/3 times 9/10. So now we have 3 fractions. Well, let's see if we can do some canceling out. So we can say that 2 goes into 2 once, goes into 4 2 times, 3 goes into 3 once, and goes into 9 3 times. So now, and I'll show you all the steps, we're going to have 1 times 3 over 2 times 1 times 10. So our answer here is going to be 3 over 20. And once again, this can't be reduced because we've already reduced it by canceling out as we went. So no matter how many fractions we have, we can cancel out